I love going to Foot Locker. It's probably one of my favorite stores, and it has been for a very long time. I shop at Foot Locker so much that my bin liners are usually Foot Locker bags. When I go into the store, they're lovely, they help me out. I couldn't be more happier with my experience in store. But when it comes to online releases, it's not it. Now, ever since COVID, trying to cop anything has been ridiculous. Anything of note, anything of hype. Obviously, because of COVID, we couldn't have lineups. People can't be trusted just to spread out and socially distance. But that enabled bots to get access to pretty much everything. Whereas general release Jordan 1 mid may not garner any sort of attention prior, they're now selling out and being resold. Same with the Air Jordan 1 lows, TNs. Pretty much anything that people like. And we've all seen it a million times. The little tent comes up and it'll be worth your weight. Well, here's a spoiler. It's never worth your weight. The problem is, bots buy up all the stock in seconds. Whereas you could be waiting in line with your little tent for like 3 hours. Sometimes the site has crashed for longer than that. I remember just going to check and, buy some clothing, and I couldn't because it's been shut down by these releases. So here's some free advice. This is what I think Foot Locker should do. I believe people should go to their local stores at the time of a hyped release and enter a raffle in person. To be able to enter this raffle, they need to show photo ID. Their photo ID gets scanned into a database and it can't be duplicated. If it is, cancel all of the orders with that same ID. I know some stores will have raffles where you got to walk out of the store with this shoe on. I'm not saying to go to that extreme. I'm saying one person per shoe with their ID can cop. I'm saying that with this system, people can only cop one. They show their ID and that's it. Now, you could say they could use separate IDs. One could use like a TAFE card, one could use like a driver's license, this, that and the other. Make it a driver's license only. If you have an issue where, you don't have a license, you can get anyone over the age of 18 can get an ID card. Same way they would a license without the test. Now, what about people under 18? Get your parents to do it. Or if you're over 16, get your L's. Rather than spending all this money and infrastructure on the website, you could eliminate all of that with just something as simple as this. Now, who's to say people aren't going to get their brother, sister, cousin, uncle, mother, grandmother, whatever involved? That's going to happen. People are always going to try and rot the system. But the difference is the good people are going to be able to get the shoes. People that want to wear the shoes. People that are actually buying for themselves are going to get the shoes. Not people trying to sell mids and make 20 bucks, Me personally, I remember prior to COVID where you basically had to race and be the quickest sort of thing. I still copped most of the time. Since COVID, no. There's only been a couple of things that have been classified as a release that I've copped that have been like after the waiting period. Or the bots weren't interested. The resellers just saw there was no value in them. That's the only way I've been able to cop in this whole COVID period. I remember, if you think to like a University Blue, insane, impossible to cop. Impossible. All the raffles, everything, everyone was after that shoe. Now you think of like a UNC 3, they had a similar type of hype at the time, but they were a lot easier to cop. I managed to get 2 pairs. While places like Laced are doing a fairly decent job of their raffle system and making it harder for people to be able to rort the system, most places aren't. And Foot Locker's system just isn't working. So this is my advice to you. If you can't go back to where you're doing your releases in store and having people line up because of COVID, even though we're pretty much not in COVID situation anymore for the whole country, then this is a way to do it. Photo ID, you got to rock up on the day. If you don't rock up on the day with your photo ID, you don't get the shoes. It goes to the next person in line. There's a lot of potential to rort the system, but I feel like it's a better system than what's in place. It's kind of similar to how they do it in America with the Flex program. You go into a raffle and then you pick up in store. For this to happen, more stores and not just your top ones need to get these releases. If you do a raffle system 2 weeks before the actual release, right? You know which store people have gone to have their entries. So you know that's the store. So you can send it to that store and they have to show their ID to be able to claim the shoe. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are going to say this is ridiculous, but I bet you there's a lot more people that say this is more fair. If you look at the recent Hyper Royal Air Jordan 1 release, there was a lot of hate before and after the raffle. I saw plenty of messages going to the Facebook page, Instagram, heaps of screenshots, comments, everything. The term bot locker is the most common. For me, I didn't even bother waking up at 7 AM because I knew what was going to happen. The same thing that happens every time. So it's on you, FOOTLOCKER. Do you really want to do something about this? Or do you just not care? You guys are making the money regardless. That's my free advice.